So the third one. Ai jagadamba madamba kadamba vanapriya vasini hasarate. So third one, the addressing here is again I Giri Nandini. That was the first line, right? Now here he's saying the composer is saying I Jagadamba Madamba. He's saying I Jagat Amba, who is the Jagat Amba, his Mat Amba is my mother. Okay. The Jagat Amba is my mother. And she is what? Vanapriya Vasini. Vanapriya Vasini is the one who likes to live in a vana. Vanapriya Vasini. But which vana? Kadamba vana. So she likes to live in this forest filled with Kadamba flowers. So Kadamba flowers, we've seen it is a sign of auspiciousness, prosperity. Also, it represents the what I remember reading or listening is it is something that also is a representation or a symbol of procreation. So she being a mother, one of the most important functions for her is to procreate, which means to be able to create life. So Kadamba is also a reference to that or a symbolism of that particular aspect of the mother. So she does both, right? She creates and also nourishes. So she is that way the mother who in Kadambavana, she loves to procreate. Loves to procreate means she loves to express. See, procreation is essentially an aspect of you which likes to express itself. Right? So how does if you see the way we are structured as a species, the women express by procreation, the men express by dominance. Right? So women, the power of women, men cannot procreate, right? How much ever you try, a man, it's probably amongst the creatures, there's only the seahorse, which probably the male gender of the seahorse probably procreates, where the female gender does not. But most of the species, it's the female that procreates. But in the human species, the expression of, so essentially there is a need to express, and Shakti or Devi is that aspect of expression. If Shiva, Sadashiva is that aspect of the substratum, if he's aspect of the potential, Shakti is the aspect of the kinetic, right? The movement. If Shiva is stillness, Shakti is movement. And movement means you want to express, you want to move, you want to keep doing something, you want to engage, you want to, constantly engage with the world. Okay. So that is a representation. And why is, if you look at why is procreation aspect of the a woman's prerogative, is because that is the way of expression for her. Because if the male dominates, if the male is expressing through dominance, which means he takes dominion. That he wants to, through power, through by means of conquering, by means of placing himself in the front, the masculine shows dominance. Even if the masculine quieta வீட்ல உட்கார்ந்திருந்தா கூட, you will notice that by being quiet also he dominates the things that happen around, right? Even if he is not moving, not actually doing much, a lot of things will move around. So there's a certain element of dominance that the masculine carries. The feminine carries the ability to express through procreation, which means by means of associating with creation. So you'll always see women will want more that familial family, my people, my children, my grandchildren. That association is very strong with women, because that is the way they know to express themselves, by associating with the world. Which is why even in, there's a question that is often asked, why women, you don't find too many women saints or sannyasis, but you find many men. Now, of course, one reason you would say that in this male-dominated world, it's easier for men to take up to asceticism or sannyasa, not for women. But it's also that women are far more closely bound by their nature. They're far more closely bound to creation. And by creation, what we mean is to people, to objects, to circumstances. That binding is a little more, because that is how they express themselves. Their identity is largely defined by this. But men have some amount of ability to withdraw, which is why we see a lot more men who are able to withdraw and go into isolation or solitude. It doesn't mean, but of course, social structures have been set up heavily to help women to be protected properly, women to be able to do what they want to do. Social structures have been set up for that. And even in the field of spiritual sadhana, now you would see for the last many years, there are, even for women, there are ashramas, there are places where women are able to go and serve. I mean, if you go to Puttaparthi, Satya Sai Baba's organization, you'll go and see, you'll see so many women volunteers. These women have completely devoted their lives to that place. And they do their service, they do their, their sadhana, their form of inner exploration, they do it that way. So a lot of these have been set up in that way. But typically, this is the way that as a species we are structured. So when we say that she is Kadamba Vanapriya, Kadamba Vanapriya is, she is somebody who likes to be associated with the world of creation. Kadamba Vanavasa Priye, or Kadamba, what does it say here? Kadamba Vana Priyavasini. Kadamba Vana Priyavasini. She loves to be in this world of, or the forest of Kadamba, means she likes to express herself through creation. And this beauty, right? And this balance offers beauty to this world. Not, and which is important, and that is what it is always said, that within us we should develop both these qualities. A male should develop masculine and feminine qualities, while a female should also develop masculine and feminine qualities. And when that balance is there within us, then there is a certain level of discipline and beauty. There is a certain level of there is certain level of steadfastness and also love. If you look at that, that combination is important. So within ourselves, we should be able to recognize that whichever way we are inclined to, each one is inclined differently, whether you're a male or a female, whether of the male gender or the female gender, our inclinations can go whichever way. A lot of people we see, we'll also hear people say that, why are you so dominant? That's a masculine quality. Doesn't mean that a female shouldn't have. But then the feminine quality of love and care, of being able to embrace, that should also be there. Both of these should be there in both the genders. So whoever particularly is on the spiritual path, it's important for them to recognize this, that if there is one that is so strong in me, I need to develop the other. You'll find that in the next line he says Shikhari Shiromani Tunga Himalaya. So the aspect of being both, the balance of both is important. Why is this important within us? We can't say just because I'm a mother, just because I'm a lady, just because I'm a female, I shouldn't keep justifying those qualities within me as the very important thing is whatever qualities we carry, we should always make sure that those qualities enable us, empower us, not make us weak, not make us tied down, not make us bound. It's very important. Those qualities we should try to highlight within ourselves. If we keep saying that my a certain quality within me, as a male, for example, right? You will see some people as men, they may not have this ability to be I mean, their ability to show care will be very different. And they show care also, they'll show பயம்படுத்துற மாதிரி சாப்பிட்டியா இல்லையா அப்படிங்கிற the way they ask whether they have had food or not, but they are asking it out of love, but the way they do it will be scaring. So they need to temper down. At the same time, women who think they are being loving, they tend to be dominated, and then they take that as, what do I do? This is my nature, this is how I am, this is, all of that. Important thing is to recognize, does it empower you? Whatever quality we carry, we should embrace the other qualities also, so that we become complete within ourselves. Right? Why is this important here? Is because here in this particular verse, she's talking about, or the author is, the composer is talking about Madhu Kaitabha. Madhu Kaitabha, if you remember, in the I had shown one chart, if you recall. Let me just open up that.
Likes and dislikes. So
Correct. Super. கவனிக்கிற கல்பகா.
இப்படியேதான் ஸ்கோர் பண்ணாதான் உண்டு. அதான் கேள்வி கேட்கச்சே தெரியாது, அதனால தெரிஞ்ச ஆன்சரை முதல்ல சொல்லிடுறது.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பெஞ்சுங்கிறது தான்.
ஃபர்ஸ்ட் பெஞ்ச். Correct. See, I'll show this. I'll bring this up again. If you remember, on the first day I had shown this. See, at the Mooladhara we have Madhu Kaitabha. Sweet, bitter, like, dislike. Madhu we know, right? Madhu is sweetness. And Kaitabha is, Kaita is, or Kita is essentially bitter taste. So it represents Madhu and Kaitabha represent like and dislike. Okay, which means the opposites in a way. So in this verse, what he is saying, he's saying, Ai Jagadamba Madamba Kadamba Vanapriyavasini Hasarate. Hasarate means she is delighted and she is joyful. That is Hasarate. And the next he is saying is Shikhari Shiromani Tunga Himalaya Shringa Nijalaya Madhyagate, which means she is situated in the um, in the middle of the Shringa Nijalaya, in the peak of her own abode, which is Tunga Himalaya. So the Himalaya, amongst the Himalaya, the peak of the Himalaya, she is situated there. And she is what? Shikhari Shiromani. So she is sitting in the of the Himalayas, Tunga Himalaya. She is sitting in the Shikhari Shiromani, which means as the crest jewel on the peak of the Himalayas. So visualize it this way: you've got the whole Himalayan range, and you've got a peak which stands out as a peak, which is much higher than the rest of the range. In the center of that peak, on the top of that, she is sitting there as the crest jewel. Okay, so who is known to be sitting there? Who is known to be sitting on the peaks of Himalaya? It is Shiva. So if you notice, the first verse is Shakti, the second verse is Shiva. The first verse is Kadamba Vana Vasa Priye, Kadamba Vana Priya Vasini. And the next one is Shikhari Shiromani Tunga Himalaya Shunga Nijalaya Madhyagate. In the center of the middle of the Himalayan ranges, he is sitting, she is sitting. Madhu Madhure Madhu Kaita Bhaganjini. So she is as sweet as honey. Madhu Madhure. Then Madhu Kaitabha. So she is destroying Madhu and Kaitabha, who disrespected her. Madhu Kaitabha Ganjini, to disrespect. And Kaitabha Bhanjini. So she destroyed the demon Kaitabha. So she quelled their pride, or when would you disrespect somebody? When you are feeling so much of pride within you, you would disrespect the other. So they're disrespected. So she quelled their pride, and she destroyed them, or essentially she annihilated them. And Rasarate, which means she did this in the sound of a battle, which means in a battlefield she did this. She did this by means of doing a battle with them. So Madhu Madhure Madhu Kaita Bhaganjini, Kaita Bhabanjini Rasarate means she is now destroying this aspect of likes and dislikes. So when you so it's what's interesting here to note is, in the first line she comes across as Devi, as Shakti. The second line she comes across as Shiva. Both are apparently opposites. One is still, the other is movement. One is the substratum, the other is the expression. One is potential, the other is kinetic. So seemingly two things, but it's actually not two things. Right? When you look at Shiva Shakti, they are not two things. They are just two sides of the same concept, which is Brahman, which is this cosmic consciousness. When it's silent and unexpressed, avyakta, it is staying as Shiva. When it is vyakta, it is becoming Shakti. Now, this has to be understood in the context of Madhu and Kaitabha. Madhu and Kaitabha are not the same. They are dualities. Dualities of what? Day and night, like and dislike, up and down, you and me, higher and lower. So we need to understand the difference between Shiva Shakti as two expressions of the same concept, the same idea, or the same principle, versus Madhu and Kaitabha, who are actually dualities in existence. We understand that there is a difference. There is this difference. Although Shiva and Shakti are two, they are just two. It's like you and your mirror. The mirror, the reflection of yourself in the mirror. Bimba and Pratibimba. Bimba is the object. Pratibimba is the reflection of the object. There is no difference between the two. But you look at Madhu and Kaitabha, they are also two, but they are dual in nature, which means one is opposed to the other. One is like, the other is dislike. One is sweet, the other is bitter. One is high, the other is low. One is day, the other is night. One is bright, the other is darkness. This duality she wins over. As what? As Shiva and Shakti. And what leaves you behind? What leaves behind is Madhu. See, Madhu Madhure is what she leaves behind. She leaves behind the joy of honey, of the sweetness. When you destroy Madhu and Kaitabha, you leave behind Madhu. It doesn't mean that Madhu and Kaitabha are destroyed and then Madhu Matto or Kaitabha is destroyed and only Madhu remains. It's not like that. This sweetness, this joy is not because of the duality. This joy is despite there is duality. You are not beaten by the duality. You are not associating yourself with duality. The joy that you're experiencing of Shiva Shakti, of the cosmic conscious, or that consciousness that you are, that the joy that you're experiencing there is not the same joy that you're experiencing in duality. Do you understand this? This is an subtle important thing, because a lot of times when we visualize from here, when I visualize, we spoke about this, from sitting here, when we visualize and say that, okay, when I attain realization, will it be, it's like asking, you have not tasted mango, and somebody has tasted mango and saying it's so nice and so tasty and it's can't compare it with anything. But in your mind, you will try to compare it to what you know. You'll say, oh, if you're saying mango is sweet, is it sweet like sugar? They'll say, no, it's not sweet like sugar. They say it's pulpy. They say pulpy means, is it pulpy like the soft inside of the coconut? So no, not exactly like that. Then you'll say it's juicy. They say, is it juicy like something else? So you will try to compare with what you know. And which is what happens to us when we try to compare the joy experienced by a saint or a sage. Being in this duality, he or she, the saint, is experiencing a joy which he or she cannot explain to you. And what we will always try to do is try to compare that to a worldly experience. Is it the joy of what is this kind of joy? So you will try to compare, is it the joy of getting something? Is it the joy of seeing somebody happy? Is it the joy of doing something for someone? What is this kind of joy? We will not be able to understand that. Why? Because our minds are capturing and containing the Madhu in the Madhu Kaitabha, where our joy is always backed up by, or always on the balance with Kaitabha. If we find joy, we also find sorrow. If we find elation, we also find grief. We find times of enjoyment, we also find times of stress. This duality is there always in us. But he's pointing to a madhu or a joy which is inside us all the time, which is irrespective of this madhu kaita bhav. This likes and dislikes may exist in us at the level of transaction. If somebody comes and asks you, do you like this? You can jolly well say, no, I don't like it. It's okay at a transactional level. But underneath, whether you like something or don't like something, there must be a joy that we must connect to all the time. And that is the understanding of this Shiva Shakti within us. When we touch upon that balance within us, the balance of Shiva and Shakti, the balance of the, in Chinese, it's called as yin and yang, the masculine and the feminine. It's not male and female, it's the masculine aspect and the feminine aspect. When there is a balance between the two within us, and that is very important. Even in our sadhana, we need to know where we use the strengths we have towards our sadhana and the weaknesses we have, not as a justification to drop. We should work over it. See, the important thing is what we tend to do is the weaknesses that we have, we use it as a justification to not engage in sadhana. And we rest within ourselves saying that this is how I am. Now, what will happen is we'll continue to be beaten up in the dualities. So how do we raise ourselves up? How do we come to that point? Is to recognize that there is this transaction world, but there is this world of joy within me. And I keep connecting to that. I keep connecting to that level of joy within myself, to say that irrespective of there is madhu and kaitabha on the outside, and which is what she is doing. She is saying that I am, when he's coming and she is destroying, she is not coming as Shakti alone and destroying. She is coming at Shiva Shakti and destroying madhu and kaitabha. Even in the story, you will read that this Shakti that is formed from the fire is formed by the offerings and everything by all the devatas. She's Parashakti. And when she comes with both the aspects, Shiva and Shakti aspect. And that is the same as Sadashiva. See, Parashakti is the same as Sadashiva. If you look at Sadashiva as masculine and then Shakti as the Shakti that's coming out, same thing with Parashakti also. Parashakti is just the feminine. It's just a way of representing the same idea. Parashakti is not same as Shakti. Understand this. Parashakti is the same as Sadashiva. Parashakti is that unique singular principle. From that comes the Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, Rudra. That's the Shakta way of looking at it. The Shaiva way of looking at it, Sadashiva, from him everything came, right? So if you look at the Sadashiva, the Narayana, Mahavishnu, or the Narayana, or the Sadashiva, they're all Parashakti, they're all the same plane. They are exactly the same but different names. So the important thing is she comes as this Shiva Shakti to destroy this Madhu Kaitabha so that we experience the Madhu Madhure within us, right? So then she becomes that Madhura within us, Madhu Madhure, Madhu Kaita Bhaganjini, Kaita Bhavanjini, Rasarate, Jaya Jaya He Mahishasura Mardini, Ramya Kapardini, Shaila Sute. So here we are seeing how she is starting to destroy the demons. The first and the second one, we saw how she is slowly coming down to removing the asuras within us. Now she is, the shlokas going towards each of these asuras that are getting destroyed in the process. So you'll have Madhu Kaitabha, then you have Chandamunda. So the next verse is Aishata Khanda Vikhandita Runda Vitundita Shunda Gajadhipate. Let me just share that screen once again. This Kalpaka DD oda icon yin and yang. Doordarshan. Yeah, that is true actually. Doordarshan, those who remember the symbol of Doordarshan, it's a yin and yang symbol. But just that the music is very sad, very depressing. Okay. Aishata khanda vikhandita rundat vitundita shunda gajadipate ripu gaja ganda vidarana chanda parakrama shunda brigadhipate nija bhuja danda vipatita khanda vipatita munda bhatadipate. So here she is talking about, or the author is talking about Chanda and Munda. These are two other, if you look at this one, again, taking you back to this diagram. See, where do Chanda Munda appear? Chanda Munda are here. Passion and conflict of interest. So it's all about the emotion. See, likes and dislikes are fairly grained into us, because the likes and dislikes can be because of various reasons within our prarabdha. Because of our prarabdha, we bring in some things you like, some people you like, some places you're able to engage, you're able to be, in some places you're not able to be. All of this comes with a lot of prarabdha. And it is quite hard to fight that, right? But again, it's one of the things that we work on trying to slowly dissolving Indra Mooladhara. When you're coming here, Chanda Munda are passion and conflict of intellect, which means the two things that are happening here. Chanda and Munda are essentially the aspects of passion and conflict. So passion means, in this case, it's the realm of emotion, right? When I say I'm passionate about something, which means I really want to do something. That is one aspect within me. The other aspect within me is that there is this either I get drawn to something and I'm really passionate about something. The other is I'm either very lethargic or I'm very unengaging. The two, see, you will see this, and we also notice it within ourselves. When you're passionate about something, you engage with it extremely well. When you're not passionate about something, you do not completely disengage. Right? Like for example, if I'm doing this, I'm passionate about doing what I'm doing, but you take me to a sari shop, I may not be interested at all. Nalli silks, aichinu poi nikka vechana enakku suttama interest irukadu.
கவிதா மேடம் நோட் பண்ணுங்க.
அதை நான் ஸ்டார்டிங்லயே நோட் பண்ணிட்டேன் மாமா. புடவை கடைக்கே நாங்க போறது இல்லை, அதனாலதான் யாத்ராவா போயிட்டு இருக்கு.
லட்சுமி மாமி பாரு, ஐயோ பாவம். But this is also something, this is at the realm of the important thing to note is at the realm of emotion. If you make this as a hindrance, see, the important thing is, if there are people who are passionate about doing something and they work with it, but the world is not always aligned to your passion. You will find things that will hinder, come in your way. It will try to make it more difficult, etc. Right? But the important thing is, which is where we need to go again inwards, to recognize that yes, I may have a passion in this, but for whatever reason the circumstances are building up this way, and so I figure out through this what is there for me, right? So if it's possible, stay away from things that pull you back from your passion. But if it's not, if the world is positioned itself in a way that you always find it as a as a hurdle that you have to jump over or endure or get over, recognize how we respond and react to it, right? And this is important. See, even if we are pulled away from our passion, we should always recognize, again, it should not become a bitter experience. It should not become something that I'm going to carry a grudge about, or bitterness or something. This, just because of this I am not able to do this, just because of this I am not able to pursue what I'm wanting to pursue. So Chanda Munda are in that space of that emotion where you either are wanting to really you are associating yourself through a strong attachment, and a lot of times it is also, like, for example, you look at Jnaneshwar. Sant Jnaneshwar showed the Brahmins in the community, because they were so attached and so passionate about what they were doing, the Vedic literature, the Vedas, they were chanting all of that. He got a buffalo to chant. The passion should not turn into pride. And that is where emotion comes. You're passionate about something is possibly because of some kind of either also prarabdha, and also something that you're drawn to and that you've worked upon through your life, but it shouldn't turn into pride. Passion shouldn't become pride. If passion becomes pride, that is the example of Jnaneshwar. Those who know the story, right? He got in the village. Sant Jnaneshwar was a small boy, and it's a slightly longish story, but his parents, he and his three other siblings, they were there, and his parents got they got a bad name in that village. They committed suicide, etc., and then they got a bad name, saying that you guys, they outcast these kids, the community. And then the Brahmins there, they said, your father was, he became a sannyasi, came back, came back to the family, etc., and all of that. So they humiliated the family, and they said, we are Brahmins, we know the Vedas, we chant all of this on a daily basis, and we they held a higher position over them. So then Sant Jnaneshwar said, by chanting this or saying this, you don't become great. It's similar to what Adi Shankara says in Bhaja Govindam. Bhaja Govindam, Bhaja Govindam, Govindam Bhajam Mudamate, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karane, Samprapte Sannihite Kale, Nahi Nahi Rakshati Dukrin Karane. So grammar, chanting, knowing all of this is not going to help you. The same thing here, Jnaneshwar tells, I can even get a buffalo to chant the Vedas. And he looks at the buffalo and he tells the buffalo chant, and the buffalo starts chanting. And the people in that community, they're completely bewildered and taken aback, looking at that thing happening. And so the important thing is, when you're passionate about something, we make it, again, everything should come back to my own inner development. Like Sadashiva Brahmendra, when he was the disciple of his guru, he went around showing his prowess in Vedanta, and the guru said, Shummaire, or basically, shut up, keep quiet and don't keep, because he was bothering everybody. He was showing around. He was very passionate about what he had learned, what he knew, and he went carrying that pride around. This is very important in spiritual sadhana. Just because we are engaged in satsangas and bhajana or nama sankirtanam, or going to temples or doing this, that, and the other, we'll be surprised that if we are receptive enough, Bhagavan will bring somebody who doesn't do any of this, and you'll still find the person is spiritually oriented. I have seen such people. And it is an eye-opener to say that you don't have to read the Bhagavad Gita, you don't have to know the Upanishads, you don't have to, but the way they are, you will feel that, oh my God, this individual is so far spiritually evolved. The way they behave, the way they see the world itself, it will feel that way. So all of these are enablers only. These are not the end in themselves. So she says now in this particular verse, she says, Aishata Khanda Vikhandita Runda. So she is, Devi is breaking this into 100 pieces. Shatakhanda, 100 pieces. What? She's cutting the body into 100 pieces. Vikhandita Runda, Vitundita. Vitundita Shunda Gajadhipate. So she is Gajadhipate, which means she conquers over the elephants of the enemies, or the opposite ones in a battle. So she conquers the elephants, Gajadhipate. But what she is doing is she is cutting them, or who? Chanda Munda and the Asuras, into 100 pieces. So she, and then what she does, Ripu Gaja Ganda, Vidarana Chanda, Parakrama Shunda Mrugadhipate. So the one who is the ruler of all animals, which means the lion, she is the ruler of, which means, and she rides the lion, and lion is the adhipati of all the mruga. So she rides the animal which is the king of the rest of the animals. So which means, if you notice, even in Mahabharata, if you'll see, Nakula has this ability. Ashwini, Nakula and Sahadeva came from the Ashwini twins. Nakula had this ability to talk to animals. And one of the ways he would defeat a lot of people in the Mahabharata war is by making sounds to the animals, and the animals will throw the person riding on them on the ground. So he'll make sounds of the horses, sounds of the elephant, etc. And he'll make some sound so that the horses and elephants go a little mad on the battlefield, and they'll run here and there, and the Maharathis on this thing, they'll fall off, and it'll be easy to go and attack them and kill them. So she has this ability. So in a battle, it's also interesting that if you have the ability to control the animals of the other, the opponents, that's also a way to easily win over them. So she says she is Nija Bhuja Danda Nipatita Khanda Vipatita Munda. So if you see Chanda and Munda, the Chanda comes in the first line. Ripu Gaja Ganda Vidarana Chanda. So Chanda is the first Asura. Parakrama Shunda Murgadhipate. So by showing that fierce, this thing, the fierce lion that she has, she kills Chanda. And then Nija Bhuja with her own hands, Nipatita Khanda, she destroys Vipatita Munda, so which is Munda, Chanda and Munda. So in the first line, she kills Chanda. In the second line, she kills Munda. So the lion kills Chanda, and with her own hands, she kills Munda, Bhatadipate. So she is the one who conquers all the warriors. Okay. So the first line is Aishata Khanda Vikhandita Runda Vitundita Shunda Gajadhipate. So she cuts off the heads of all the asuras. Ripugaja Ganda Vidarana Chanda Parakrama Shunda Mrigadhipate. So the lion that she has, she is riding on that lion. She kills Chanda, and Nija Bhuja Danda. So she uses her own arms to kill Munda, the Asura Munda. Bhatadipate, the one who is able to conquer over other warriors. So this particular verse is, as we said, is about conquering over your passion, which means conquering over the pride that comes out of the passion. And why it is split into 100 heads, 100 pieces? Why is she splitting that into Shatakhanda, 100 pieces? Because that is what we need to do. Pride is such a thing. Pride is such a thing that if you don't completely crush it, it will keep coming up again and again, some form or the other. In some form or the other, it will keep coming up. And it becomes an obstacle. Even in the smallest form, it will come, it presents itself. It becomes an obstacle. Obstacle for what? For our own understanding of our own self, of my own truth, my reality, to understand myself. This comes in the way of it. The pride that comes along with the passion. The other aspect is also important we need to notice is that if your passion is you're not able to live your passion, then with that comes either guilt or depression. That is also a negative aspect. As much as pride is negative because you're wanting to pursue your passion, pride comes as a result. If you're not able to pursue your passion, guilt because I am not able to do, or either guilt or blame. These are the two things that usually come out. Because of that, there is a certain level of depression that sets in because I'm not able to pursue my passion. Both of these are negatives, either pride or guilt. So both we need to be careful. Because at the end of the day, we don't care about any of this, right? What is it that we care about is my own understanding of myself, understanding of what I am, who I am, and Madhu Madhure, always remaining in that joy. Can I come to that state within myself? This is important. We should always remember this. Irrespective of what you do. Like again in Bhaja Govindam, he says, Yoga Rathova, Bhoga Rathova, Sangha Rathova, Sangha Vihinaha. Yasya Brahmani Ramane Chittam, Nandati Nandatyeva. So yoga rathova, bhoga rathova, enna venalum pannu. Do whatever it means. Be in yoga or be in bhoga, doesn't matter. Be in sangha or be in satsanga or nissanga, bad sangha, kusanga, or without any sangha, doesn't matter. What is most important? Yasya brahmani ramate chittam. One whose mind always rests in brahmani, in Brahman. Nandati anandati anandatyeva. He always remains in that joy. So these are the two verses that we saw today. He's saying that in first one is as Shiva Shakti, they come down to destroy Madhu and Kaitabha. This dualities that we are in, and what remains back is this joy. But to express and experience this joy, The next one, she says, I am going to kill Chanda and Munda within you. The passion, which can either become pride or guilt. I'll destroy these two also, so that the passion to pursue something, you just do it as pure passion. Don't either carry pride or guilt. And always remember that joy is important. Whether you're able to do something or not, that is not important. This joy is important. Whether even a lot of times you may be able to do something that is you're passionate about, you may not find this joy. That is important. Remember that joy is important. If let us not compromise that joy to either follow my passion or let go, doesn't matter. This joy is what I need to stay in. This is the 2 verses of the third and the fourth.
Basically, Guruji, it is to handle the dvandam, or rather, how we react to the dvandam. எதனா ஒண்ணு ஜாஸ்தியானாலும் நம்மளுக்கு பிரச்சனை தான்.
Correct.
either லைக் ஆர் டிஸ்லைக். ரொம்ப லைக்ஸ் இருந்தாலும் பிரச்சனை தான், ரொம்ப டிஸ்லைக் இருந்தாலும் பிரச்சனை தான்.
ரொம்ப இருந்தாலும்
மாதிரி மிடில் பாத்.
Middle path. ஆமா absolutely. மத்தியகதே. அவ பாருங்க, she herself is மத்தியகதே.
மத்தியத்துல வந்து how we respond to all these things.
ஆமா.
ஓகே, நம்ம அவுட்வர்ட்லி நீங்க சொன்ன மாதிரி டிரான்ஸ்லேஷனல் வேர்ட், ஓகே, ஐ கேன் ஹேவ் அ லைக் அண்ட் டிஸ்லைக், but mentally I'm okay with both.
I'm okay with both. And a lot of times, like you're saying, there may be from within us, there may be a draw to do this, I must do this, I must do this and all that. There may be these drives that people have, I must achieve this, I must do this. It's good to go with that. But also to recognize that that is not the source of joy anyways.
கரெக்ட். அதான் அந்த பேஷன் வேணும். அந்த பேஷன் நிறைவேறலைன்னாக்கா our attitude should be in the state that okay, பேஷன் ஆகலைனாலும் பரவாயில்ல, ஆனாலும் அது மண்டையில ஏறக்கூடாது. அந்த தொந்தம் இல்லையா, அந்த that extremes மத்தியகத்தை தான்.
Correct. So that is important, because a lot of times we struggle with life to figure out what to do. Should I do? Should I not do? Am I not able to do? All of that. If this joy is something that we should, from very early on, we should recognize this joy is something that should not be compromised at whatever stage. If that is recognition is there, then slowly we work towards that. And whatever life throws at us, obviously there will be different instances, different circumstances. But if this is not compromised, if this we've taken a sankalpa, at no circumstances I will compromise on this within me. Right? Then probably life then presents itself differently. It starts presenting itself, because if you see all these saints and sages, all of these, they nobody, in fact, the other day I was reading some work, nobody has had a, if you say, comfortable life. Nobody has had a life of no pain. All of these saints and sages have had a life of intense pain. But we will never be able to see that pain. If we were to be in that, we would be experiencing a lot of pain. But they've brought themselves to a place where from there, it doesn't appear to be pain, because they have figured that joy, that madhura, they have tasted that. And so from that point, it is not suffering for them. It may be pain for the body, for them, even for the mind. They may also be experiencing pain in the mind, but then they have even kept themselves aside from the mind itself.
அதான் அது வந்து நம்ம வந்து to be in the state of joy, you need to insulate your mind. Mind insulate பண்ணிட்டு make resolution that whatever external is not going to spoil my happiness.
Never.
வந்து சந்தோஷமா இருந்தது.
Absolutely. And it should be a dridha sankalpa. It should be a meaningless, choiceless dridha sankalpa. That sankalpa should be so strong that it may not have a meaning. There'll be no logic also. சம்பந்தமே இல்லாம சந்தோஷமா இருக்கணும். Yes, that is how I will be. That is how I will be. And this sankalpa we keep making at every point in our lives. Then
But that is a nature. That is actual nature. Yeah.
that is
Actual nature.
absolutely. Then it reveals to ourselves. Then it reveals. Then that revelation from within, it becomes. Then we are able to recognize that. Yes. So like they say that fake it till you make it. So it's very important in this whole journey. Like Annamalai Swami of Ramana's disciple Annamalai Swami did the same thing. She said, yes, this is it. This is that substance or that reality that is there. Kept repeating that again and again and again without going into logic, without going into, at some point, manana was important. But once through manana, we come to a point, we recognize that, yes, there is this there, and it becomes drida nischaya, it becomes a determined sankalpa, then absolutely no deterring from there. This is it. Joy is my nature. Being happy is my nature. My mind is distracting me. My mind is telling me something else. Joy is my nature. This we need to keep repeating. So that is what these two shlokas tell us. So we'll close here today. Om Kayena Vacha Manasendriyairva Buddhyatmana Va Prakrite Swabhava Karomi Yatyat Sakalam Parasmai Narayana Iti Samarpayami Sadashivaya Iti Samarpayami Jagadambikaya Iti Samarpayami Satgurunatha Iti Samarpayami Hari Om Tat Sat Gurubhyo Namah Gurudeva.